On July 22, 2025, heavy metal's Prince of Darkness, John Ozzy Osbourne, died at 76, less than 3 weeks after one last triumphant hometown set. That farewell, dubbed Back to the Beginning, filled Birmingham's Villa Park on July 5th with tens of thousands of black-clad fans. An all-star roster, Metallica, Slayer, Tool, Guns N' Roses and more, blasted tributes before ceding the stage to the man who'd started it all. Ozzy rolled out on a gothic throne to steady his Parkinson-weakened frame, but his voice still ripped through his fan-favorite song, Crazy Train. Tears mixed with applause rang out as he thanked the crowd and welcomed Tony Iommi, Geezer Butler, and Bill Ward for a thunderous Black Sabbath encore. War Pigs, Iron Man, and a firework lit Paranoid. Footage of that throne-bound performance went viral after his death, capturing a legend who rocked until his last breath. Tributes, from Birmingham street processions to global stadium sing-alongs, sealed Ozzy's legacy as the unbreakable godfather of heavy metal. John Michael Osbourne grew up in a working-class family in Aston, Birmingham, where he earned the nickname Ozzy as a schoolboy. At age 14, hearing the Beatles' hit She Loves You on his tiny transistor radio changed his life. It was in that moment Ozzy knew he wanted to become a musician. Fueled by this inspiration, he left school at 15 and cycled through a series of odd jobs, from construction work to a slaughterhouse, all while dreaming of rock stardom. A teenage brush with the law even landed him in jail for 6 weeks for petty theft, a sobering experience that reinforced his desire to escape a dead-end life through music. By late 1967, Ozzy got his first real shot at music. Bassist Geezer Butler invited him to sing in a new band called Rare Breed, but the group only managed a couple of shows before breaking up. Undaunted, Osbourne famously posted a flyer in a local record store that read Ozzy Zig needs gig, Shen has own PA, determined to find new bandmates. The ad was answered by guitarist Tony Iommi and drummer Bill Ward, who had recently lost their own band and were eager for a new project. Joined by Butler on bass, the quartet formed a blues rock outfit in 1968, initially called Polka Tulk Blues Band. In 1969, the Polka Tulk Band renamed itself Earth, honing a heavier, hard-edged blues sound on the local club circuit. However, a mishap at one gig, where they were mistaken for another band called Earth, prompted the four young musicians to seek a new identity. In August 1969, they adopted the ominous name Black Sabbath, inspired by a horror film of the same title, to set themselves apart. With the name change came a darker musical direction. The band noticed that audiences loved being scared, so they began infusing their blues rock with gloomy, menacing riffs and occult-themed lyrics. This marked the true birth of Black Sabbath, the lineup of Osbourne, Iommi, Butler, and Ward that would soon revolutionize rock music as pioneers of heavy metal. On Friday the 13th of February 1970, Black Sabbath's self-titled debut thundered into record shops. Rain, church bells, and Tony Iommi's sinister tritone riff, announcing a sound unlike anything on the airwaves. Ozzy's banshee wail and Geezer Butler's occult-tinged lyrics flipped the peace and love era on its head, sketching the first blueprint for heavy metal in one dark, shocking swoop. They doubled down that same year with Paranoid packing War Pigs, Iron Man, and the breakneck title track. The album shot up the charts even as critics sneered it was black magic music for sick masses. Every bad review only hardened Sabbath's outlaw mystique and swelled the ranks of kids craving something heavier than Zeppelin. Controversy became free advertising. Label added artwork of an inverted cross, and Ozzy's Prince of Darkness theatrics sparked sermons, headlines, and accusations of Satanism. The band insisted the horror imagery was more warning than worship, but moral crusaders couldn't resist casting them as rock's ultimate villains. Crowds flocked anyway. Fear, curiosity, and sheer heaviness filled concert halls as Sabbath's sludgy riffs and apocalyptic lyrics tapped a generation disillusioned with flower power. Reviled by the establishment, yet adored by the masses, they carved heavy metal's foundation, forever altering rock and youth culture. By 1979, Black Sabbath was falling apart from the inside. Years of heavy drug use and growing tensions took their toll. Ozzy Osbourne's substance abuse had escalated to the point he could barely function, missing rehearsals and showing little interest in new music. During a failed attempt to write a new album, Tony Iommi finally snapped and told the others, "Ozzy's got to go." The rest of the band agreed. Firing their charismatic frontman was gut-wrenching, like cutting off an arm, but they believed it was the only way. In April 1979, they made it official. Ozzy was out of Black Sabbath. The news hit Ozzy like a freight train, leaving him devastated. These were his childhood friends, and now he was cast out from the band he helped create. Feeling betrayed and alone, Ozzy spiraled. He holed up in a Los Angeles hotel for months, numbing himself with booze and cocaine. In his mind, this was the end of the road, but out of the darkness came a lifeline. Sharon Arden, the daughter of Sabbath's manager, was dispatched to check on Ozzy. She found him broken, but she saw a future for the Prince of Darkness. Sharon helped Ozzy get signed to Jet Records and became his manager. With her support, Ozzy clawed his way back. He assembled a new band, recruiting bassist Bob Daisley and drummer Lee Kerslake. Most crucially, Ozzy discovered a young guitar wizard named Randy Rhoads. They formed a band called Blizzard of Oz. In 1980, their debut album hit like a thunderbolt, launching Ozzy's solo career in spectacular fashion. The fallen frontman rose again, forging a new path, off the rails of the Black Sabbath train. As Blizzard of Oz launched his solo career, Ozzy Osbourne fully embraced a Madman persona in the early 1980s. He quickly became rock's ultimate wildman, notorious for over-the-top antics. In 1981, at a record label gathering to celebrate his debut, a drunken Ozzy shocked everyone by biting the heads off 2 live doves, an outrageous stunt that signaled the chaos to come. In January 1982, during a show in Des Moines, a fan threw a live bat on stage, and Ozzy, thinking it was a rubber bat, proceeds to bite its head off, only to need immediate rabies shots when he realized it was real. Weeks later, he was arrested in Texas after urinating on a monument at the Alamo while drunk, earning a decade-long ban from the city. These incidents made international headlines and further fueled Ozzy's wildman image. That same year, tragedy struck. In March, Ozzy's young guitarist Randy Rhoads was killed in a freak plane crash. Devastated, Ozzy nearly gave up, but Sharon urged him to carry on. Through the mid-1980s, he kept his career on track with hit albums like Bark at the Moon and The Ultimate Sin continuing to pack arenas. Controversy still followed him. He was vilified by conservative groups and even faced a lawsuit blaming his song Suicide Solution for a teen's death. The case was thrown out. The moral panic only boosted his notoriety. Yet fans kept coming to his wild shows, and Ozzy remained one of metal's biggest stars. By 1989, years of substance abuse led Ozzy to rock bottom. During one drunken blackout, he tried to strangle Sharon, leading to an arrest for attempted murder. The incident forced him into rehab and nearly cost him his marriage. It was a dire wake-up call, but he survived and staggered into the 1990s battered but still standing, ready for a new chapter. In 1992, Ozzy Osbourne shocked fans by announcing a farewell tour titled No More Tours, a pun on his hit No More Tears, citing exhaustion and a health scare. That November, at his supposed final show, he delivered an emotional surprise, reuniting on stage with his Black Sabbath bandmates for the first time since 1979. Of course, retirement didn't suit the Prince of Darkness for long. Just months after retiring, Ozzy grew restless. By 1995, he was back with a new album, Osmosis, and a tour called Retirement Sucks, proving he wasn't done yet. Around this time, Ozzy and Sharon launched Ozzfest, a metal festival born in 1996 after mainstream organizers snubbed him. Ozzfest quickly became an annual metal mecca, launching dozens of new bands and reinforcing Ozzy's status as heavy metal's godfather for a new generation. By the late 90s, a long-hoped Black Sabbath reunion was finally a reality. In 1997, Ozzy reunited with guitarist Tony Iommi, bassist Geezer Butler, and drummer Bill Ward to headline Ozzfest. The original lineup's Birmingham homecoming shows were recorded for a live album, Reunion 1998, which delighted fans and even earned Sabbath a Grammy Award for a live rendition of Iron Man. Ozzy's metal cred remained intact, but by the year 2000 his public persona was shifting once again. He continued rocking into the new millennium, touring steadily, yet outside of music he was becoming an unlikely pop culture celebrity. Ozzy even poked fun at his bat-biting legend with a cheeky cameo in Adam Sandler's 2000 comedy Little Nicky, and charmed TV audiences with his offbeat mumbling humor. All this set the stage for his most surprising role yet, reality TV star. By early 2002, MTV cameras were moving into the Osbourne household to capture domestic chaos and redefine Ozzy's image for a new era. In 2002, MTV's The Osbournes exploded onto screens and became a pop culture phenomenon. Viewers couldn't get enough of the foul-mouthed, offbeat antics of Ozzy's household. The same man infamous for biting the head off a bat on stage was now bumbling around his Beverly Hills mansion, wrestling with a TV remote and scolding his dogs. Heavy metal's Prince of Darkness had somehow become America's most unlikely lovable TV dad. The show's success was staggering. The Osbournes shattered MTV's all-time rating records, even winning a Primetime Emmy Award. Overnight, Ozzy's image morphed from scary rock legend to endearing comic relief. Audiences saw a softer side of him, a bewildered father in slippers, mumbling hilarious one-liners amid household chaos. He unintentionally paved the way for a new era of celebrity reality shows. Suddenly, Ozzy was a mainstream icon. Even the President of the United States name-dropped him at a White House dinner. An unbelievable nod of respectability for the former rebel. Yet behind the TV chaos lay real struggles. As cameras rolled, Sharon was diagnosed with colon cancer, and Ozzy's bravado crumbled. Viewers saw him crying and praying for her recovery. The teens, Kelly and Jack, were thrust into the spotlight. Kelly tried a music career while Jack spiraled into substance abuse, landing in rehab at just 17. Then, in 2003, Ozzy nearly dies in a serious ATV accident that puts him in a coma. The early 2000s became one of the most turbulent chapters of his life. A wild mix of fame, family drama, and life and death trials revealing a very human Prince of Darkness. After his reality TV fame, Ozzy Osbourne steered straight back to music. In 2013, the original Sabbath lineup, minus Bill Ward on drums, released their first studio album together in 35 years, named 13, and followed up with a launch of the End Tour, a victory lap that closed with an emotional hometown gig in Birmingham in 2017. Even as age crept in, the godfather of metal wouldn't surrender the stage. Unfortunately, declining health forced him to slow down. A brutal fall in 2019 triggered spinal surgery, pneumonia struck that winter, and in early 2020, Ozzy revealed he'd been living with Parkinson's for years. Yet the diagnosis only sharpened his creative edge. He dropped Ordinary Man in 2020, recruiting Elton John and Slash, then followed with Patient Number 9 in 2022, stacking guest solos from Jeff Beck, Eric Clapton, Zakk Wylde, and Tony Iommi. At 74, he hauled in 2 Grammys, including Best Rock Album, proving the fire still raged beneath the frail frame. A surprise hit with Post Malone gave him his first US top 10 single in decades, introducing the Prince of Darkness to Gen Z headphones. Tributes rolled in even before his final bow. Sabbath earned a Grammy Lifetime Achievement Award in 2019. Ozzy accepted a GQ Lifetime Achievement honor in 2020 with his trademark self-deprecating grin. In 2022, he shocked viewers by roaring through Paranoid at the Commonwealth Games closing ceremony, seated but still electric. The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inducted him a second time in 2024, this time for his solo career, placing him among the rare artists honored twice. Determined to end on his own terms, Ozzy mounted one last spectacle. Back to the beginning. A July 5, 2025 farewell at Villa Park featuring Metallica, Guns N' Roses, and a full Black Sabbath reunion. Propped on a bat-winged throne, he belted Crazy Train and shared a final tear-streaked embrace with Iommi, Butler, and Ward as fireworks crowned the Birmingham sky. 17 days later, on July 22nd, Ozzy died peacefully at 76. The outpouring was instant. Global sing-alongs, black bat emojis, streets of mourners in Aston chanting his name. Ozzy Osbourne leaves a seismic catalogue, a genre he helped invent, and proof that even the wildest madman can age into a beloved elder statesman. Farewell, Prince of Darkness. Your riffs echo on, your spirit lives loud, and heavy metal will never forget. Thank you so much for joining me on this crazy journey through Ozzy's life. If you enjoyed the video, consider leaving a like or maybe subscribing. Also, feel free to share any favorite stories you might have about the godfather of metal in the comments below. And also let me know who you think I should cover next. Thanks again, and I will see you in the next one.